Hey, it's Mark again, and in the first video, Steve and I explained that we were starting a website for divorced men, men going through divorce, men contemplating divorce, because we're both divorced men. And the purpose of this video is to kind of give you some insight into why we think we have the credentials that you might be interested in listening to our opinions on stuff. But most of all, this site's going to be a support mechanism. We're going to try and make a little money with it. I'm sure we'll probably develop some products and advice type products and information type products, because obviously we're entrepreneurs and businessmen. But more than anything, this kind of thing didn't exist when we were going through our divorce. And I will say, I've said this kind of humorously before, I'm an expert at divorce, and it's really not something, I would prefer not to be able to make that statement, but unfortunately, because of the nature of my divorce, I was forced to investigate pretty much every angle you can think of. I'm a dad, I've got kids, I'm an entrepreneur, so I wasn't just getting a W-2. It was very easy to paint a picture of me having all kinds of assets all over the place, and very, very difficult to put your arms around my quote-unquote income, because I didn't get a W-2. I received distributions, and I had a fairly complex financial situation. I'm not interested in bashing my ex-wife. It's difficult not to say disparaging things because of how contentious it was, but this is more along the lines of a support mechanism for guys that are going to go through this. My divorce I filed for divorce in June of 2003, and I signed the divorce final resolution December of 2006. So it essentially took close to 3.5, 4 years, and then subsequently after that, I represented myself in a custody suit, and I won full custody of my children as my own attorney. So you can only imagine the amount of research that I did to be prepared for that, and I was successful. The joke is, having the worst divorce ever was not a contest I ever wanted to win, but I think the point is that I am definitely in a position where I could be an excellent resource for anybody, women included, and quite frankly, children. I'm not a counselor, not a lawyer, but with that experience over that period of time and those results, I feel very comfortable saying I'm an expert at this, and hopefully I can help some of you.
But the reason that we wanted to do this was, as Mark mentioned, there wasn't a resource like this available, and it's something that we both feel is necessary. It's a resource that should be available, something that is free, something that is anonymous, something that allows you to, as a man, go do some research, do some reading, listen to other people's stories, get an idea for what it is that you're about to go through, or if you're in the middle of it, connect with other people who are also in the middle of it, and if you've just come through it, find other people who have also just come through it, and realize that it is going to end, it is going to get better. It doesn't last forever, although in some cases like Mark's, it's going to seem like forever.
Yeah, it ends. It ends, and the pain goes away, and life goes on, and the kids are fine. It was very hard, but I'm sure there are people out there that have gone through more horrific things than I. And again, it's not a contest, right? But I think if there were a resource, because when I walked into my attorney's office for the first time, I was babbling in an emotional state. I was scared, I was tired, I was anxious, I was nervous. I didn't know anything about what I was about to get myself into. And in hindsight, which is always 20/20, if I had me to go to and say, hey, what can I expect? And what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What should I do here? I probably would have saved tens of thousands of dollars. I know I would have expedited the timeline on this thing, and it would have been easier on my kids, it would have been easier on me, it would have been easier on everybody. But how the hell do you know what you're getting into? Everybody that goes through this for the first time goes through it for the first time, and it sucks, and it's personal, and it's emotional. So we're just going to try and add some objectivity to it, and some experience, try and get you to the end, to the goal line a little bit quicker and a little less painfully.
One of the things that's interesting to me when I look back is I did have advice from other men that I knew who had been divorced, but it was for the most part, it was jaded advice. It was coming from a painful place of their own, and they were not able to be objective, and it wasn't very helpful to me, and I didn't follow it. And some of it was good advice, but because of the voice that it came from, it just wasn't helpful, and so I ignored it. And I think one of the things that we want to accomplish is to give a baseline, a non-emotional, objective opinion on the things that we think about, because we're both on the other side of it, and because we've both healed to the point that we can discuss these things without a lot of pain, without a lot of emotion, while the memories are still sometimes emotional memories. It's not a traumatic discussion for either of us to have, so we can discuss things with a little more sanity than maybe we could when we were in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's not going to be about how to hide money, how to get away with stuff, how to win, how to disparage. I mean, like Steve was alluding to, the advice you get from people recently divorced. If it's a guy, she's a bitch, and blah 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 blah. And if it's a woman, he's an asshole, blah. That's not what this is about, And it doesn't matter how we feel about our ex-spouses. That doesn't matter. This is about tactical and strategic preparation, and how to consider and evaluate the circumstances objectively when you're in this dark pit of emotion. So if you're interested in learning how to beat your spouse, go somewhere else. You may end up winning, and winning in this respect is expediting to the end result as quickly as possible with as little emotional damage to you and your children and your ex-spouse as possible. That's the definition of winning in the context of what we're trying to accomplish.